Have you ever done something so mind-numbingly boring that suddenly watching paint dry feels like an extreme sport? Or found yourself checking your pulse just to make sure your heart hasn't decided to slow down out of sheer boredom? That's exactly where I was playing today's game. One phrase kept popping into my head. Time is money. And if that's true, I've officially lost my entire life savings in just 4 hours of gameplay. The game in question is Grand Fantasia, and it's earned the distinct honor of being the first game I've ever played where I couldn't find a single thing I liked. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lucas, or referred by my internet alias That Biology Student, and I'll be your bingo host for this evening. So, Grand Fantasia. The game was developed by Axe Legend and released by them in 2008. Axe Legend was one of those developers that during the 2006 to 2012 MMO free-to-play boom pumped out one low-effort game after another, trying to cash in on WoW's success, without putting even half the effort into the work. Or who knows, maybe they tried, but based on the 2 games I've played from them, Eden Eternal and now Grand Fantasia Origin, it sure doesn't seem like it. This trend is also pretty obvious in their recent projects. Since 2006, besides re-releasing their old MMOs, they've focused almost entirely on the mobile games market and mobile ports of their MMOs. You've probably scrolled past a few of them in your app store. Originally, back in 2014, Grand Fantasia was published by Area Games, a German publisher that had the privilege of being bought out by Gamigo. Do you see where this is going already? Area Games. That's a name I haven't heard in a while. Picture any of your favorite anime MMORPG or shooter from the early 2010s and it was probably published by Area. Well, anyway, the game is now self-published by Axe Legend, meaning the developer has full creative control. Sounds like a good thing, right? Well, in theory yes, but given their track record of only releasing mobile games recently, I had a bad feeling going in. And most of it turned out to be spot on. So the question we're trying to answer today is, how bad is Grand Fantasia? And what better way to do it than by using a randomly generated bingo board? By the way, if you want to play bingo with me or just hang out, come follow me on twitch.tv/thatbiologystudent, because yes, shameless self-promotion is still shameless. In case you've been living under a rock and don't know how bingo works, here's a rundown. I made this bingo board, and on it I've listed different elements of a game that when combined can either make or break the experience. I've tried to cover various aspects of a game, and we'll be going through them point by point, not in chronological order for storytelling reasons. Here are the categories: gameplay and story, aesthetic cohesion and sound design, optimization and localization, population, and monetization. Whenever one of those elements pops up, we'll cross it off the board. If we get a row, whether vertical, horizontal, or diagonal, we've got ourselves a bingo. The real question is, how many bingos can we rack up in 10 hours of gameplay? And of course, this will scientifically prove whether this game is truly shovelware or not. One last thing before we dive in. If you enjoy this game, that's awesome. I'm genuinely happy for you and hope you keep having fun. Just because we cross off a few boxes doesn't mean your game belongs in the bargain bin. Even the big 5, WoW, Guild Wars 2, Final Fantasy XIV, RuneScape and ESO could tick off a few of those boxes. Heck, my main game, Final Fantasy XIV, I could probably score a bingo if the layout was just right. But without further ado, let's get started. Right from the start, things get a little bit confusing. You join a server and get thrown straight into the character creation. Over on the right, it shows the classes. But what took me way too long to figure out is that these are just class previews. You don't actually pick your class at the beginning, you log in your class after the tutorial. Yeah, that's a pretty weird way to handle it, but fine, I can deal with it. So we create a character. Notice that we can also customize a pet, and off we go. Then the intro cutscene hits, and well, let's just say I was a bit flabbergasted. Just watch how my viewers and I reacted to it. Yeah. Oh god, that music change was... Oh god. Oh, that was a graphics downgrade all of a sudden. I don't know how I should be feeling right now. This is terrifying. That music and those things happening. Oh no! I think that... I gotta clarify, I run an GTX 1060, which is not the newest graphics card, but... Why does everything look like it's made of dough? And folks, that right there is the only genuine enjoyment I got from this game in the entire 4 hours I played. After that, we get bombarded with about 15 pop-ups, which I clicked away faster than spam emails. Now we're on Tutorial Island, the only place with any resemblance of story. The story itself is pretty simple. This lady has seen your arrival and wants you to save the village from traps and this big boy right here. So far, so basic. On this island we get a pretend tutorial. What do I mean by that? Well, the game gives you text boxes explaining mechanics, but doesn't actually care if you follow them, or even read them. You could theoretically finish the entire tutorial without learning a thing, and then find yourself clueless afterwards. For example, we learned that this little crystal down there is where your pet lives. They can craft and collect things for you. Neat idea, right? But the game does nothing with it. It's never relevant again, so much potential for a cool mechanic completely wasted. At one point the game asks us to pick a class, so I chose Archer because I'm a healer range player through and through. Big mistake. Why? Because someone, somewhere, in the design process, made a terrible decision that should have never left the idea stage. If you want to attack with your bow, you need to be at a minimum range from your enemy. If they get too close, you can't shoot. You have to smack them with your bow instead. What the... well, you know the rest. This wouldn't be as big of an issue if the archer had any mobility, but nope. You're rooted in place while shooting, so here's what a lot of the combat looks like. Shoot a thing once or twice, and if it's not dead, you're stuck slapping it with your bow while chugging potions to stay alive. I thought about restarting as a melee class, but that would mean I would have to play this game longer, and I like my sanity, thank you very much. Speaking of weird design choices, let's talk controls. You know how in most MMOs you hold W to move forward, and you use the right mouse button to steer. Well, they mapped the left mouse button to do that here. The right mouse button is just for camera movement, not character movement. And the left mouse button is also used for click to move. But it only works for turning after you're already running. The result? Cognitive dissonance. A lot of my footage is just me fighting with the camera. It's like playing with stubborn Legos. Sure, they fit together somehow, but they really don't want to. Anyway, we save the village, defeat the big man, beast thing, and off we go to the town of our choice. And from that point on, no more story. None. Before anyone screams at me, it gets good at endgame, consider this. If a game expects me to get excited about it, it should be excited to have me. Let me explain. There are different types of MMO players. The PvPers, cutscene enjoyers, dungeoneers, hardcore raiders, and so on. I'm part of several subgroups of those groups. I love group content, a well-written story, well-made cutscenes, I'm a hardcore raider. But what I don't love is grind. I get that some people are into it, more power to you. But if you lock everything I enjoy behind hours of grind, the game feels like it's not excited to have me and I won't be excited to play it. Simply as that. Fun should be your content, not the reward for slogging through the boring stuff. Anyway, long story short, the gameplay from here on is basically talk to random NPCs you'll instantly forget about, teleport to your objective, kill whatever random thing the NPC wants you to for reasons that no longer matter, and teleport back. No more story to be found, so let's just mark that off our bingo board. We call What's the Main Story. And also 5 Kill X quests in a row. Oh, and it's a classic hallway MMO. What does that mean? The game tries to make you think the maps are like open and vertical, but nope, there are invisible walls on every slope and you have to follow the designated path. You can't take a shortcut even if it's right in front of you. Also, the jump button is purely aesthetic, you can't actually jump over anything, it's basically an emote where your character pretends to jump while staying glued to the ground. So let's cross off another one. Invisible walls everywhere. And the quest rewards? Utterly useless. Nothing replaces the bow and armor you get from the tutorials, so doing these boring quests feels even more insulting. Let's mark another one. Useless, outdated quest rewards. To be honest, in the 4 hours I've played, the game didn't give me any reason to keep playing. We went into a solo dungeon, which I probably could have cleared if I didn't have to melee everything as an archer, but nope, had to quit that too. Even Ion had some redeeming qualities I liked, like cool creature designs, great map design, and a decently competent combat system. Grand Fantasia, on the other hand, is a mix of terrible decisions and painful mediocrity. So after 4 hours, I'm done, feeling like I've wasted just a whole lot of my time. I swear this game feels like it was designed to tick me off entirely. If there's one thing I've learned during my short time on YouTube and Twitch, it's that you've gotta nail sound. Oh yes, I look at my own analytics and I see you, those of you who clicked off when I made the mistake of cutting my voice too early. Twice. In a half-hour video. Shame on you for not giving me a second chance. But hey, I get it. I'm the same way. Crunchy microphones, terrible background noise, instant click off. So why am I ranting about sound right now? Because Grand Fantasia sound design is exactly the kind of thing that would make me drop a game forever under normal circumstances. Let's start with the music. In most zones you get a 30-second to 1-minute loop of tracks that are, at best, mediocre. And I swear, during the stream I kept thinking, where have I heard this before? Which leaves us with two possibilities. Either the music is so generic that it blends in with every other MMO soundtrack, or, and this is worse, they're using cheap or free public sound libraries like Kevin MacLeod's stuff. Now don't get me wrong, I use those too and they're great, but I'm a tiny streamer and YouTuber, and Grand Fantasia is supposed to be a global product with a budget that's leagues beyond mine. While I can't prove it either way, the second possibility seems more likely, especially since I couldn't find any composer credited in the game's wiki or credits. And what's an even weirder choice? Once the track ends, you're left sitting in awkward silence for a good 1 or 2 minutes until the same short loop decides to start up again. Overworld or anything, it's just either generic or like super boring in other ways. Weird as shit. But hey, it is. It is what it is. I should have read what that said. Oh, yeah. Noticed this last one. What a bizarre design choice. So let's just mark that off our board. Awful music. Now, as for the rest of the sound design, oh boy, it's a mess. And because there's so much silence between music loop, you really start to notice. Let me just give you a couple of examples. See this river here? Unfortunately, because I record in mono, you can't hear it properly, but let me explain. If you stand on this bridge there, you can hear the game has sound boxes, like sound sources placed in specific spots, which is a cool idea in theory. Lots of games do this, and it helps you hear where the sounds are coming from. But here they've placed one sound box to the left of the bridge and one to the right. So when you're standing on the bridge, you only hear water flowing from the sides, not from below, giving you the weird sensation that the river flows around the bridge, not under it. Another example, every creature in this game has one, and I mean one, sound cue, and it plays on repeat, constantly. So when you're surrounded by enemies, you get the same 1-second clip over and over again, bombarding your ears. Yeah. Just let me bump that audio up for you so you can hear what I'm hearing. Oh. Now of course this, yeah. Do you hear that? It's like being trapped in a loop of audio torture. Decisions like these are scattered all over this game, so even the ambient sound design can save it. Let's go ahead and mark another one off. Terrible sound design. And listen, it's not like the game makes up for it in aesthetics either. Now, I'm not talking about resolution or model quality here, I get it, the game is over like 15 years old, but so is World of Warcraft. And whatever your thoughts on WoW and Blizzard, you can't deny it has character and beauty in its models, creature design and map layouts. Grand Fantasia, not so much. The map design is so generic that while teleporting around for quests, I often didn't notice when I switched maps. It's like every area bleeds into the next, completely unremarkable. And as someone who dabbles in digital art, below mediocre, but still, I love seeing great creature designs. But even here, the game doesn't deliver. Every questing zone gives you 2 or 3 creature models that get reused and recolored with new names. And these aren't even interesting creatures. Off of the top of my head, I remember the ones crab, worm, mosquito, human warrior, that's it. And it's not like they try to hide the palette swaps either. They're right in your face. So let's just check off palette swap on screen. Oh, and it's cash over immersion as usual. Remember how Ion we had that immersion breaking car mount? Well, Grand Fantasia has a matching bike. What the fuck? Why? Yep, nothing screams fantasy MMO like zooming around on a motorcycle. I'm not even going to re-explain why this is terrible. I went in depth about it on the Ion video and in my opinion of this. So we'll just quickly mark it off. Immersion breaking mounts and skins. And here's the kicker, I didn't even find this bike in the cash shop. It was straight up shown to me during one of my gameplay sessions, like they just showed me this immersion breaking monstrosity. Fuck that. If you've grown tired of my complaints by now, here's at least a glimmer of positivity. With my solid but limited grasp on the English language, I couldn't spot any weird translation or spelling mistakes. And since there's no voice acting, they managed to avoid the issue of poorly localized character voices. But whether the absence of voice acting is a good thing is up for debate. At least the UI is consistent, and the font remains the same throughout the menus, quest text, and so on. But that's where the positivity ends. Now let's dive into optimization. I know I'm not running the latest and greatest gaming rig. I'm on a student's budget after all. But to put things into perspective, here are the recommended specs for the game. And here's my setup. As you can see, we're way beyond what this game should require by at least the factor of 1,000. And yes, I added on the system, and yes, it's a pain. The game starts out in the wrong resolution, so there's no native resolution detection, but at least it kicks off in the only correct mode to play an MMORPG, windowed full screen. I will die on that hill. And hey, it does support Full HD, so we can do that and reload the UI and move on. Performance-wise, it runs decently as long as you're alone on the screen and there are minimal particle effects. However, there are no graphic quality settings, so if you're running on a single-core CPU in 2024, you're pretty much out of luck. But here's the kicker. As soon as there are more than 5 players on screen, or there are a few more particles thanks to the cash costume shop or other cosmetics, the frame rate starts to tank. I can only imagine how much fun that will be when running dungeons with 10 plus players. To make matters worse, it runs on DirectX 9, which doesn't efficiently utilize multi-core CPUs, so my i5 is out of luck. That might be where the problem lies, or maybe it was never optimized for operating systems beyond Windows XP. Whatever the reason, as a multiplayer experience, it seems unplayable. Our bingo board is slowly filling up, let's go ahead and cross out, why are there frame drops? I will keep this short and sweet. I was genuinely surprised. From what I've gathered, the relaunch of the game was 2 years ago. It currently holds a medium rating on Steam and has seen a peak of 761 players in the last 24 hours. This means I almost always encountered other players, making the towns feel populated, but I just can't wrap my head around why. What are people seeing in this game that I am not? While playing, I had quite the opposite reaction compared to Aeon. In Aeon, I encountered only one player in an entire 10-hour sitting, but here I met so many people that I started to question not only my sanity, but theirs as well. Are you all okay? Do you need help? Is this game holding you hostage somehow? Blink twice if you need assistance. Well, if everything I've said somehow convinces you to give this game a shot, at least for now you can rest assured that there are plenty of players to join you. The kind of microtransactions this game is after became painfully clear right from the tutorial. You're introduced to a plethora of upgrade systems. Weapon upgrades, armor upgrades, skill cards and skill card upgrades, and more I can't quite remember right now. Each system has slots in its UI for a mysterious extra item besides the item you're upgrading and the upgrade materials. Later, when we opened the cash shop, my suspicions were confirmed. We were met with 6 pages of upgrade materials, all available for just a swipe of your credit card. So we can officially check off a metric fuckton of upgrade systems. After we finished Tutorial Island and boarded the ship to the mainland, we were hit with a FOMO pop-up. What is FOMO, you ask? It stands for fear of missing out. Ever been online shopping and seen a message like you only have X amount of time to complete your purchase at this price? That's FOMO at work. Our brains are hardwired to think, oh no, I'll never find a deal this good again. In MMO terms, this often leads to your first payment, making it more likely you'll spend more money because of the sunk cost fallacy. By now you've invested in the game and it feels like a waste to stop playing or fall behind because you're stopped paying for the next upgrade. Before you know it, you're trapped in a cycle of spending more than you intended. In our case, it was a beginner bundle that was only available until level 15, so let's mark off FOMO pop-ups. When we opened the shop, the first thing that popped up was a loot box. Do I even need to explain why loot boxes are problematic? Just ask the Netherlands or Belgium what they think of them, so we can add another point for loot boxes. When the game shoved that FOMO pop-up in my face, I thought, okay game, is this how you want to play? And so I decided to find out just how much money you could throw at this game at once. Lo and behold, they go up to 200 fucking bucks. That definitely overshot our threshold for over 75 euros or $84 currency packs. By now, it's clear to me why Gamigo bought out area games back in the day, but let's start to wrap things up around here. So, let's take a look at our intrepid bingo board and cross out all of our calls to see if we can classify this game as shovelware. Wait. Hold on a second. We have 14 out of 24 spots crossed out, but not a single bingo? Let me check my notes really quick. Yeah, the points check out, but this can't be it, right? This is the worst game I've ever played in my life, no hyperbole. There has to be something I forgot. No, this is accurate. Really? I was sure about this. Well, despite my personal opinions, I have to stand by my word and declare that Grand Fantasia Origin is not shovelware. I think I just had a stroke. But that doesn't stop me from saying this is a terrible game that only wants your cash. No one should ever play. If I can save even one person from experiencing it today, I'll consider it a win. Don't do it. Don't suffer like I did. This is a full-blown PSA now. Now excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, while I head off to my Grand Fantasia Sufferers Anonymous meetup. Hey friends, thanks for sticking around to the end. I really appreciate you watching me till the end, and I hope you liked what you saw. If you did, I would enjoy it very much if you would push that subscribe button and maybe could leave a like for me. If you want me to check out an MMO you would love to see on one of my series, either the long form ones or the MMO Shovelware series, leave me a comment, put one in the suggestion box on Twitch, or tweet at me at thatbiology on Twitter. You can watch my live streams where I do record the footage for the stuff live we're doing here. So you might want to follow me at twitch.tv/thatbiologystudent or want to watch my stream archive on YouTube at thatbiologystudent. And else, I'm very thankful for the viewers that stay here. I see like around 10% are staying till the end, so that's great. I'm very happy to have you here and hope you enjoyed what I actually did. So yeah, I hope to see you in the next one. Stay out of trouble, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.